Good evening. My name is Chandler Ryan. I will be joined by Zachary Cagle, Galen Longo, and Jake Neely in presenting the fall of Enron, exploring the rise and fall of an industry leader. The fall of Enron is a story of corporate innovation and success, and then ultimately overambition, deception, and finally collapse. Enron reshaped not only the minds of investors, but the entire landscape of corporate governance and ethics. In our presentation, we aim to explore Enron at its height as an industry leader, who eventually caused its own downfall in 2001. By examining the rise of Enron with its innovative structure, adoption of technology, diverse programs, and excellent corporate culture, we will then understand why Enron began to unravel and examine the factors contributing towards the ultimate failure. Additionally, our presentation will investigate both internal and external checks and balances that contributed negatively to the company. Finally, through our analysis, our presentation seeks to draw lessons from Enron's journey that remain greatly relevant today. The rise of Enron was due to its innovation, adoption of technology, diversification, and its corporate culture. The company developed a never before seen energy trading model, which introduced long term fixed price contracts into an industry that struggles with volatility and price fluctuations. It also launched an online trading platform, Enron Online, which at this time in 1999 was revolutionary. Enron expanded into other markets, including electricity, bandwidth trading, and water, displaying the company's diversity. Lastly, Enron was viewed both inside and outside the company as an innovative and dynamic corporation, recruiting skilled individuals and creating a work environment filled with creativity and efficiency. As you can see in Exhibit 1 on the left, Enron's financials tell a story of exponential growth. From 1995 to 2000, the company's operating revenues skyrocketed from just over $9 billion to an astounding $100 billion. This wasn't just growth, this was rapid expansion that outpaced many of its competitors, cementing Enron's position as a market leader. Moving on to Exhibit 4 on the right, we get a closer look at how Enron's different business segments and stock performed. You'll notice a consistent upward trend in its domestic and international operations. In particular, the trading of energy, led by Enron's revolutionary platform, Enron Online, played a pivotal role. By 2000, Enron had emerged as the largest seller of natural gas in North America. Looking at the annual returns, Enron's stock performed exceptionally well against the S&P 500 from 1998 to 2000. These numbers were clear indicators of Enron's dominance and market confidence. However, this dominance would not last.
This slide we'll be talking about Enron's innovation, the move to asset light. In 1990, Jeffrey Skilling joined Enron's company. He joined the company as president of Enron's Finance Corporation. He was the main proponent of the asset light model. This model eventually led to almost 50% of their heavy assets, which consisted of pipelines being sold or syndicated over the time he was at Enron. They also moved a significant amount of their business from a strategy supported by the value of sales and intrinsics such as contracts. In this slide, we talk about employee compensation and code of ethics. As we know, Jeffrey Skilling was among the numerous high-caliber professionals that Enron successfully attracted. Furthermore, Enron Corporation frequently engaged potential employees with attractive sign-on incentives and the prospect of earning bonus equivalent to or exceeding their annual salary. The wage packages offered were notably superior to industry standards, with a strong emphasis on incentivizing employees to opt for a company's stock as their bonus compensation. The corporation enforced a comprehensive and extensive code of ethics, mandating every employee to affirm their adherence in writing. Lastly, it was a requisite for investments with potential conflict of interest to receive sanction from both the board of directors and the chief executive officer.
Internal systems and their failures. Management's willingness to lie and their concentration on short-term targets are the first two failures. Kenneth Lay and Andrew Fastow, who spearheaded the company, had no issue lying. The weakness is the root of all their other problems that plagued Enron. The lies were formed in the pursuit of focusing on their short-term goals instead of looking for long-term growth. Enron honed in on the short term to ride the incredible wave of prosperity that was being experienced in the 90s and at the height of the company's decadence. During the 90s, the stock market was in the longest bull run in the market's history. As the boom years came to an end and as Enron faced increased competition in the energy trading business, the company's profits began to shrink rapidly. Enron executives turned to a dishonest form of accounting known as market accounting, and the market-to-market accounting allowed the company to write unrealized future gains from some trading contracts into future income statements, thus giving the illusion of higher current profits. This was a practice where companies adjust outstanding derivative contracts to their fair market value, usually at the end of each quarter. This adjustment reflects the unrealized gains or losses in the income statement for that period. However, applying these methods to long-term future contracts, particularly in commodities such as gas that Enron was involved in, poses challenges due to the absence of quoted prices for their valuation. Another large issue was Enron's misuse of SPEs. Several companies utilized these SPEs to distribute assets, but Enron exploited this practice and they used SPCs to conceal their troubled assets. This transfer allowed Enron to keep these assets off the books, thus downplaying the severity of their losses. Continuing with internal systems and their failures, especially honing in on Enron's manipulation of SPEs. Enron employed special purpose vehicles, or SPVs, to borrow money without recording it as debt on their balance sheet. While the SPVs do offer a legitimate benefits like shielding a company's assets, or you can secure cheaper debt, Enron did lack the transparency, and that raised a lot of concerns. They would transfer its stock to SPV in exchange for cash or notes receivable, and they would use the stock to hedge against its balance sheet. But when Enron lost its stock value, it no longer provided adequate collateral, exposing flaws in the SPV strategy. Vincent Elkins played a central role in establishing these entities, and with their attorneys, they collaborated closely with Enron and other decision-maker accountants from Arthur Andersen, and they created a balance sheet that aided in concealing hundreds of millions of dollars of liabilities, and they distorted the financial picture for investors. Now looking at the external failures of Enron, the first being the failure of the board oversight. The board should be faulted for failing to demand more information and for failing to probe and understand the information that did come to it. It was often overlooked or pushed aside if they weren't in on the dishonesty being taken place. Enron was overhyped and overvalued. Enron Online was coming on in 1999, and this was the same time that Blockbuster had announced a deal to provide an on-demand video customer service through the high-speed internet that was so popular at the time. And finally, the public relations. There was an obscure disclosure of financial statements. The market was beginning to perceive the company with greater and greater skepticism, and this led to the eventual eroding of the trust in the company's reputation.
Enron's soaring profits of the late 1990s through 2000 were a stark contrast from what started to come to light in 2001. Ken Lay stepped aside in February of 2001 with the long-standing president of Enron Finance Corporation, Jeffrey Skilling, replacing him as CEO. Their stock started declining in value, and with it revealed the impending disasters, which were the off-balance sheet SPEs that were about to start causing major problems. Adding to their mounting issues was the surprise resignation of Skilling from his recent promotion, citing personal reasons as the reason for departure. This shocked colleagues and other influential people throughout the company. Following the resignation of Skilling, several high-ranking officials within Enron resigned from the company, and Ken Lay resumed duties as CEO once more. Sharon Watkins, Vice President for Corporate Development, brought a letter to Ken Lay informing him about how the company was about to implode because of an impending accounting scandal. Sharon Watkins courageously expressed doubts regarding the company's financial practices in her infamous memo. She highlighted aggressive accounting practices related to certain SPEs and pointed out that these entities held assets primarily in Enron stock, which had been rapidly losing value, down 60% from the beginning of the year. Watkins completed analysis in August of 2001 for all assets available for sale. Several of them were hedged with Raptor, of which were actually entities that were owned by LJM. Enron stock backstopping the hedge was declining in value and could not cover the losses. Raptor owed Enron up to $700 million and collectively lost the money. Sharon Watkins truly believed that they could have salvaged the condition of Enron at that time had Ken Lay taken action when Skilling resigned. However, he did not, thus furthering the appearance of deception and concealment that became synonymous with evidence abounding from the later investigation. The use of special purpose entities had indeed proven to be an extremely high-risk method of conducting business and would further complicate, if not eliminate, any hopes for recovery. The Enron saga is a great reminder of the eventual repercussions of engaging in unethical business practices as well as bending the rules of accounting and finance. It underscores the cruciality of anyone occupying a position in a C-level suite of a company to have knowledgeability on corporate accounting process, practices, and procedures. The Enron scandal led to significant financial losses and ushered in a new era of uncertainty for investors, which ultimately led to the signing of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 into law. In the words of former Senator George Allen in 2002, "It is a matter of confidence of the American people as to the reliability and credibility of what they read about a company's financial condition. They need a clear and fully accurate description of assets, liabilities, cash flows, true revenues, true costs, and obligations. A reliable accounting system is the linchpin of our free market system." The Enron Code of Ethics is now an official artifact for the FBI, with their efforts in the investigation adding up to more than 1,800 interviews, over 3,000 boxes of evidence, and analysis of more than 4 terabytes of data. They ultimately seized more than $164 million to help compensate victims of Enron's elaborately deceptive accounting scheme, forever stamping the name of the company in history as a prime example of the need for clear accounting rules and regulations on accounting and finance.